Okay, you're catching the car ahead, but remember, we need to get to the end of the race on these tyres.
Why F1 2021 is the best Formula 1 game ever made. Here we are then, F1 2021. Every F1 fan that's a gamer eagerly anticipates the release of the next instalment from Codemasters. F1 2020 was an incredibly solid game, so where does F1 2021 stack up? Well, if you read the title, I think it's the best F1 game that's ever been made. Let me dive into the reasons why.
What a brilliant Australian Grand Prix this has been, but there's still plenty of time for more drama.
First and foremost, it's a brilliant looking game. Every single year, Codemasters take a small step forward graphically, and this year is no different. Especially in the scenes away from the racetrack, involving drivers and the paddock vibe in general, you can tell there's been a huge amount of investment into making this game look top notch.
I look around and I'm surrounded by my heroes, you know? I've even had to pinch myself a couple of times.
Let's now move on to the gameplay itself. One feature that I've always wanted from a Formula 1 game is a story mode. Something to get properly immersed in and feel like you're living the life of a Formula 1 driver. Codemasters gave us a very small tease into that world last year in F1 2020, but as with all teases, it ended very abruptly and left us wanting a lot more. And a lot more is what we've got with F1 2021. The new game mode Breaking Point is a brilliantly thought through idea that puts you in the centre as a new kid on the block in F1. Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything around the storyline or reveal any plot twists. All I'm here to say is that serious amounts of work have been put into this mode and I'm massively impressed. Growing up as a kid, I absolutely loved scenario modes in old F1 games, and that's basically what you're served up when playing Breaking Point. You know the storyline, you know Devon Butler is a massive tool, and you're then given 7 laps at the end of a race, for example, to make things happen and influence the storyline in your favour. If doing well in a race wasn't enough motivation, being the character in a story certainly helps that even more. Codemasters have also kept the small post-race interview pieces at the end of a race included too, and although it doesn't feel like they matter too much, say the wrong thing and you'll be receiving an email from your manager telling you to calm things down.
Look, let's not go through all that now. We'll talk about it at the debrief.
I also spent a decent chunk of time enjoying Grand Prix mode to see how much I like the change in handling from last year to this year. You won't be surprised to hear that there aren't many changes to the actual gameplay itself, simply because, well, it didn't need it. I was running with no assists and it felt similarly difficult under traction as last year, and slightly easier to slow the car down aggressively into a corner without front locking. One really cool addition is the introduction of floor downforce to the cars, which you'll especially notice when you go over curbs and lose a huge amount of stability when getting on the power. You gotta be careful.
What happened? Let me know you're okay.
As for the AI, I still feel like this is maybe the area that is slightly lacking, just purely because of how they act on lap 1, and it's clearly something Codemasters have struggled with for years. Don't get me wrong, it's so much better than some of the bunching up of cars we've seen in years gone by, but there's still easy dive bombs you can send which could gain you 3, 4, 5 places into a hard braking zone just by being overly aggressive. After lap 1 though, it's really solid. The AI aren't afraid to send one on you if you're slow out of a corner, and they certainly aren't afraid to send a defensive manoeuvre either. Overall, this game is a must-buy. The single-player experience has taken a massive step up this year, and that's coming from someone, me, who doesn't usually do F1 career modes or single-player in general. We'll have to wait and see on the multiplayer side when tens of thousands of players pile onto the servers as to whether Codemasters has taken a step forward in that department too. Either way, I'm excited. There you have it, a review of the F1 2021 game and why, in my opinion, it's the best F1 game ever made. Will you be purchasing the new game? Let us know in the comment section below.